The day of our revelation, chapter 77. In the mind of something greater, the spirit behind thoughts and emotions, page 193. As we set boundaries with the type of energy we hold within ourselves to get the most positive mixture on our journey to find the God of our understanding, we will begin to see the changes right before our eyes. We will have periods where we will fall back into a blend within our minds that will bring us negative results. As we learn the difference, we will have to remind ourselves of what the past effects were as a result of the negative thoughts. Each time we catch ourselves thinking negatively, we will have to consciously remind ourselves that we are in the mind of something greater and that we are right where we are supposed to be at all times. The more we become aware of the world around us, the more glorious will be the time of our search for something greater. We will begin to tap into a different view of what is happening in our lives. As we focus on the positive versus the negative thoughts, we will bring these qualities out into our minds. It will be like changing the colors of the curtains on a window. We will realize that we do not have to suffer with our thoughts anymore. We will then have a choice to push through the fear of the unknown and bring it forth to take each moment and savor the peace of love that we will find inside. Even when parts are presented in a negative way that reflects back to us, we will begin to understand that this is really an experience for ourselves. The part of our world that directly affects us ultimately is all about us. Even though we are all affecting our planet as a whole, the parts that we can directly impact are what we have control over and need to focus on. For those of us who are in a position to make global changes, we have been given an opportunity to influence many lives at one time with our knowledge for a greater purpose. When we do not use this knowledge appropriately, the negative energy trickles down into the thoughts of the masses. As we begin to realize that our actions impact the very thoughts of another and what that means to us, the choices within our minds occur and the separation begins. There is coming a time when this separation will become more noticeable in the masses. We now represent ourselves as either a good country or a bad country. This separation will become the good or the bad, with only that boundary within the masses. When this occurs, the promises that something greater echoes throughout history will occur. The beginning of the end is occurring. As the separation transpires in each of our minds, we will ultimately turn into that energy on a physical level. We are physically reflecting this separation and do not realize it. Each time we choose the good or the bad thoughts, we turn into that energy source with the knowledge being withheld from the masses until the day of revelation for us all. If we look at the universal laws that must be carried out in correlation with our conscious awareness and ultimately our free will, we will begin to understand the difference between the good thoughts and the bad thoughts and the impact that these thoughts have on ourselves and ultimately on our world. As we become more aware of our thoughts, and as many are starting to wake up, more of us will be bringing this unseen world into our being. We are at a crossroads with the very essence of what we are made of. Many of us are becoming aware that our thoughts hold power. As we tap into this power, it is a turning point in the world as we realize that we have choices. When that awareness occurs on a global scale, there will be a struggle with the negative thoughts versus the positive thoughts, as everything goes off balance with this newfound freedom within our minds. Do we choose to help others, or do we keep this power just for ourselves? Do we turn our heartache into love, or do we hold the anger of why me? Reaching out to others brings forth a chain reaction with others in their own lives. If we hold this power and do not share our knowledge, it turns into something it was not intended to be. As the mixture sits in our minds, it allows distorted views as to what effects we have on others. The more we separate from the feeling of love for another, the darker our reality becomes. It takes a great effort for some of us to maintain a positive flow of love as we experience the unbalance on our planet. As our planet responds through the air and through our weather, we will have to create a balance within our minds. Groups are beginning to struggle with what is right and what is wrong in how we are being treated. There will come a day when there will only be two groups after everyone has the knowledge that our thoughts do create our reality and that we are connected to something greater. We are making the conscious choice to either connect to this greatness that is all about love, or we are going into the emotions of hate, jealousy, and anger to connect to the forces that bring us destruction. We are experiencing it on a global level, and it is waking up the masses that seek love. The power of love will bring forth a vengeance for the protection of all that hold it within their being. It is a turning point within the pocket of our time as we know it. The revelation has begun. There will be a war like no other. This started out as a battle inside ourselves, and it will turn into our reality. The promises that have been documented throughout history are preparing us for the upcoming events.